Hello? Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? Can you see me? How's it look? How are we looking? Hi, everyone. Greetings. Hello, hello. Yes and yes. All right, awesome. Hello, my friends. Quiet chat today. What's everyone doing? Like working or something? What's going on? Um, Looks good. Okay, good. Hello, Angeline. Hello, Evie. We're back in my sewing room slash dining room slash what else would we call this? Filming studio. It's really quiet. I know. Come on, guys. Um, you like my dress? Dresses, dresses, dresses. So this is the Jiffy boat neck dress from my book Gertie Sews Jiffy Dresses. It's one of my favorite dresses. I love how this dress like feels and fits, and I just like is very comfortable but still like on the more fitted side. So did I post it on Instagram? I thought I did. Good question. Let's see if it uploaded. Yeah, it uploaded. That's okay. People are coming in. They didn't desert us. So Jiffy boat neck dress feels very comfortable, fitted, has a nice gathered skirt. Mr. Jingles, there he goes. So this was one of my fabrics for Michael Miller's for the collection called Boudoir, and it has this rose border print and lace. And here you can see on the skirt, it's just like a gathered skirt. So the border print is like right side up on the skirt and then upside down on the bodice, which is something I really like to do with border prints, is just kind of play around with the placement. And then you can see the lace is on the sleeves as well. So yeah, with border prints, it's always fun to just kind of play around with the placement and see what looks good. You don't have to do it right side up. You can play around with it upside down, and it's really fun. Marin's here. Hello, Marin. Yeah, and it comes in black too. You guys might have seen I made a similar dress in black with pink roses, and that one is sleeveless. Yeah, so this is just and it has a low back, though I shouldn't really show it to you because the hand stitching just came out, but you can get the idea. It has a nice low back. Very pretty. Hi, Melisha. And you can see I'm trying something different with my hair today. I was thinking about I Love Lucy, and I was thinking about something I want to do for a theme for my next photo shoot at home. And I was like, I need to try doing my hair in like sort of Lucy inspired updos, which kind of worked for today because I didn't set my hair last night because I didn't feel like it. So I did my bumper bangs with my rat here. And I did like, I don't know why I decided to do it this way, but I took like pigtails almost and just kind of like made almost like this kind of thing with my hair and pinned it in place. And it's like a mess underneath there. And then I put the scarf over it. So yeah, I think it kind of worked, and it kind of holds the shape of the scarf. Yeah, it was weird. And I tried it and it kind of worked. I think it paid off. Um, Sleeves versus sleeveless. Ooh, that's a good poll. That's a good poll. We'll have to do that on Crowdcast. Random question, how tall am I? I am 5'6". I believed I was 5'7" for a very long time, and then I got measured recently. And I don't know if I shrunk or what. I think I maybe just never was 5'7" is what I'm choosing to believe. But I'm 5'6". Yeah. So you like the hairstyle? Thanks, Colin. I was just saying it was inspired by our Lucy talk kind of yesterday. You shrunk too. That's not what happened, guys. That's not what happened. I'm not shrinking. It's not happening yet. Um, all right. So, guys, first of all, Bonnie says, me too. I was 5'7", but shrunk because of 15 years of dance. We just need to work on our posture, ladies. You guys like the setup today? Thank you. Yeah, it's fun to kind of move it around my house and keep it fresh, but I was thinking about topics we could do because I know yesterday I was like just kind of chatting and a little random. And I told Alicia afterwards, I was like, I feel like I'm losing my personality a little bit. I've been like in quarantine too long, and I don't know. I just feel like I had like a lot of personality going into this, and now I'm like, ugh. So I don't know, maybe to keep me on track, we need to like have topics. And I was thinking about topics that we can do without the second camera, because I still haven't figured that out. And I was just kind of thinking of things that we could do kind of like straight on like this. And Melisha had texted me a question someone had about sergers this morning. And I was like, oh, we should talk about sergers. And then I was like, oh, we should talk about sewing machines first. And we should talk about dress forms. And like, we could just kind of choose a topic a day, and not for it to be totally comprehensive, but just to kind of talk about like what I use on a daily basis, and things that I like about my equipment, things I don't like. So not meant to be like a comprehensive guide to sewing machines, but just a discussion. So that's the topic for today. Yeah, so, but first I need to talk about my knitting, and I see you have some questions too. Someone said, what is the site you posted your hair tutorial at that you talked about yesterday? So that is on Patreon, and Patreon is my subscription service. My mom says I may be taller than you now. I don't think so, Mom. I think my mom thought she was taller than me for a long time, and she's definitely not. I hate to break it to you, Mom. I'm 5'6", a definite 5'6", definite. Okay. So wait, hold on. There's so much coming in. You guys know how my brain works. The hair tutorial is on Patreon, and Patreon is our subscription site. And I do live tutorials on there pretty often. And one that I did, I think it was last month, was hair, or maybe it was 2 months ago. Who knows at this point? But I did my pillow roller and brush out tutorial. And I've also done a makeup tutorial on Patreon. Okay. All right. Whoa, there's so many questions. They're all over the place. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, my knitting. We have to talk about my knitting. Thank you. Keep me on track. So guys, I got my pink yarn yesterday, thanks to Beetle and Fred. And look, I made like 2 pink stripes. So it actually goes this way. This is there's a lot of yarn going on here, but this is the back neckline here, and then it's like top down. So how fun is this? I'm super excited. It's actually a little bit of a warmer pink than I think it's going to show up for you guys. So yeah, loving the contrast. Look, I'm very excited. So I've made 2 pink stripes. I think I need like a bunch more. So you do this until you get down to like the armhole, and then like put it on a stitch holder, or like hold the stitches, and then go do the front down to under the armholes, and then join it and like knit in the round down to the bottom. And then the last things to do are the neck, the armbands, and the waistband. It's like ribbed contrast. So one problem I did have, and you knitters out there can maybe tell me what you think about this, is that like everything was going great, and then I counted my stitches compared to the pattern, and I have 1 less than I'm supposed to have. And looking at it and just kind of counting, I think I somehow didn't cast on, I missed 1 cast on stitch here at like the back neckline. My feeling is it doesn't matter, because it's just 1 stitch. And when I looked at the instructions for how to do the neckband, it says to pick up 3 stitches for every 4 around the neckline. So if I just kind of remember that I am missing a stitch at center back, and just kind of account for that, and like at center back, maybe I pick up 3 stitches per 3 stitches, but just in like at center back, then my neckband will still be the same. And I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. What do you think? Right or wrong? Is that controversial? It really doesn't matter. Yeah, I don't think so either. It won't matter. One doesn't matter. I'll be totally fine. Okay, good. All right, guys. So I almost did a thing where I like added another stitch on the end just so that I would have the right amount. But then I was like, that's dumb because why would I have one extra stitch on the arm band? So I think it kind of happened at like the perfect place and I'm not going to worry about it. Francis says it doesn't matter, but you'll need to make sure you have an even number. Okay. If I want to add it, I should add it to the middle. All right, guys, I don't think I need to add it. Write it on a Post-it note and put it on the pattern. It would work for ribbing, probably. Okay. All right, guys, thank you for chiming in on that. So yeah, very excited about my progress so far. And I'm just so excited to have a knitting project that I'm like really into because I've kind of wanted to get back into knitting for a while and I just couldn't find the right project for me. So super excited about this and I'll keep you updated, but it's mostly just going to be stripes for a while. So yeah, that's exciting. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you for being my knitting consultants. I really do appreciate it. I'm such like we were talking about last week. I definitely feel like it helps me relate more to people who are total newbies, especially in sewing, because I'm just like, where do you go for information? Like, what video should I look at? And you try one video and it doesn't have what you were looking for. And like, it's very helpful to have people like you helping me. So thank you. Okay. Should we talk about sewing machines? Oh, thank you, Sabrina. She says she's loving my look. Thank you. Oh, dare I ask for an Animal Crossing update? Did we go for the picnics? Okay, yeah, I should just give you an update because I can't just like leave you high and dry on that important piece of information. So guys, I did buy the picnic set on Pocket Camp. It cost me 300,000 bells, which is crazy, but I kind of just felt like, let's just go for it. I totally blew all of my bells, but now I have 125,000 again. So it was worth it. The only thing about the picnic set is that it takes 2 days, 2 full days to craft it. So I'm waiting on that. And I just have a lot of things in the works on Pocket Camp. One of my animals requested a samurai suit, so that's in the works, and that takes like 16 hours. And then another one wanted this tile mosaic screen thing. So all 3 of my workstations are being used up right now, and not a lot is happening other than that. So that's the update on Pocket Camp. I did log in on my Switch Lite last night and go to New Horizons. And I feel like I'm really just in this stage where I'm getting the lay of the land. And I collected a bunch of weeds and oranges and I met Blathers. And he gave me the hot tip to craft a vaulting pole so I could go across the river. So I have this, because I was starting to wonder, like, okay, what am I going to do in this one little section of land here? I'm out of oranges. My oranges didn't grow back. So I got to go over the river, which was super exciting. I'm getting a little better at fishing. Things are slowly moving along. I can't figure out how to move anything around. I don't know. I'm a total newbie in New Horizons. Yeah, so that is what's going on. Hi, Missy. So yeah, I'm very, how did I get that many bells so quick? You're very invested in this picnic table. I promise I'll post a picture. So I got that many bells by playing the maps mostly. And how else did I do it? That's pretty much it. I also like give it like expensive items to animals when they request them. So for a while I was just kind of like being really stingy and like, if you want a fish, you can only have like, the most basic fish that I can get more of. But then I noticed that if I gave them my expensive fish, I would get like 2,000 bells just like as a reward for giving them a fish. So I started doing that because you can always get more fish. And yeah, and then I got 300,000 bells. And and I blew them all on a picnic set. So, so that's exciting. You don't play the maps. Yeah, I do the Insta Clear thing. If you spend like 3 to 5 leaf tickets, you can clear the entire map, which often gets you 50 to 70,000 bells in a go. So that's how you do it. All right, Missy's in the house. All right, everyone. How do I get so many leaf tickets? Yeah, for a while I was like, I'm not gonna buy any leaf tickets. But then I decided that was silly and I started letting myself spend a little like actual money on the game. So I buy like the packages of leaf tickets every now and then. I try to limit that because you can really spend a lot of actual real dollars in this game. But I kind of figured, I'm not doing really anything else for entertainment right now. And I don't go out to eat, don't go to the movies, don't go anywhere, don't travel. So if I spend 20 bucks here or there on a game that I spend most of my leisure time on, I don't really think it's the end of the world. Like, I'm not going to judge. I was judging myself for it, and then I decided not to judge myself because people spent time and money developing that game, and I'm happy to give them a few dollars here and there. So that's kind of how I feel about it. But normally it's not something that I would spend this much time or any money on. So you were jealous of all my pink blossoms decor. So Sunny, yeah, just join in. Just get the Pocket Camp thing on your phone. It's really fun. If you're looking for something to kind of distract yourself from the news, I will say that since I started playing Pocket Camp, I have stopped looking at the news. Not entirely, but I'm not looking. I was kind of like looking at constant updates. Like I don't watch it, but I was looking like on Reddit and like on my news app, and now I just don't really do that. So I mean, if that's what it kind of takes for your mental health right now, do it. It's fun. It's totally just distracting, mindless, just good, wholesome fun. So yeah, try them. I mean, I'm not a gamer, in case you couldn't tell. And I just decided to try it because I thought the animals were cute and it's really fun. So yeah, if you get into it, just like share your codes with us. There's a code that we can like friend you. Looking at the news is my job, so Animal Crossing has a wonderful thing to look forward to after the workday. Yeah, I think I've been also sort of giving it to myself as rewards. Today I had some stuff to get through that I don't really like doing, like the cutting layouts I had to finish for the Patreon project. It's coming out on Friday, and that's always sort of a slog for me. I had to get some financial documents together for that small business loan, that government CARES Act loan. And that's like way down the list of things I like doing. And then I had to write a newsletter, which for some reason I always procrastinate about. So those 3 things were enough that I needed like little rewards today to keep myself going. So what I do to kind of keep motivated is like whatever I really want to be doing, like if there's something that's kind of pulling my attention, like Animal Crossing or a knitting project or a sewing project, I will say, okay, if I get through this project, then I can knit 2 rows, or I can play 20 minutes of Pocket Camp, or whatever it is. And it's like you're a child or a dog, and you just have to train yourself. And it works. It works for me. It works for me. So let's see. You guys want the yardage and fabric recommendations for Friday's Patreon project? I will say that I made one of them in brocade, aka brocade, and I made the other in a wool challis. And the wool challis I probably used 5 yards of, and the brocade I used 6 yards of. So this is something you're looking for, something that you have a lot of yardage of. So it is an expansion. It's an expansion. So I'm super excited. I got the pictures back. I sent them for editing to Shameless, who normally does our photography and the editing, and Sophie at Shameless Pinup did just the editing on these photos. And I'm so excited to show them to you because we had a conversation where I said, why don't we do something like, we've been kind of leaning towards maybe going a little more like fantasy with the editing, because we now try to keep it pretty true to the reality of whatever we shot, right? Like the environment would look the same, the lighting we would kind of keep the same, but just, you know, pump up a little bit. But I kind of gave Sophie free rein to try out some different things with this, like, you know, if there was a cherry blossom tree in the photo, like adding more cherry blossom leaves, like making it more, like just pumping it up, like making a sort of fantasy version of the photo. And so it's really fun what she did with them, and I'm like super excited to show you these photos. Yeah, so that is Friday. Guys, Friday is May 1st. So we normally release a Patreon project on May 1st, or on the 1st of the month. So we have a new project coming to you on Patreon on Friday, which is May 1st. And it's an expansion on Charm Pattern, and it's something that I've wanted to do since we started Patreon, and I could not be happier with how it came out. I had no idea I was going to have to be working on it on my own in my house. And I'm so thrilled with how it came out. So I can't wait to show it to you. Yeah, so full fantasy realness. Yeah, so it's something a little different, and yeah, I'm just excited to see what you guys think. It's just, I mean, why not? Why not kind of play around with what we've done in the past and experiment with new things? It's like this is a whole new world. I'm not telling you guys anything else about it yet. Melisha says it's amazing. Oh, thanks, Melisha. Yeah, so for the first time, Alicia wasn't involved in the photo shoot, so I just sent her these photos this week, and she said she almost cried because she loved them so much. So that is the Melisha endorsement. Yeah, it's going to be really great. We're giving you too much. Yeah, see, guys, there's so much coming out now. So we just want to keep you busy and keep you sewing while you're home and all of that. How can you sew without a flat surface? I don't know what that means. No flat surface whatsoever? I don't know how you would sew without a flat surface. Maybe you can expound a little on that. Okay, so yeah, Friday's gonna be great. Okay, we have more questions about Stanwyck and Hepburn. So if you ordered the PDF of Stanwyck and or Hepburn, those will be delivered to you on Thursday. The hard copies, I'll just kind of quickly repeat my little speech from yesterday, which is that you're going to have to be super patient with us on these. They've taken a little longer than we expected to get from the printer, and Melisha has to pack them all and ship them all, and then UPS, USPS, everyone is slowed down right now. So they're going to start shipping out probably next week, but that's a little iffy. So they're coming. Like most of them are being delivered to, well, half of them are being delivered to Melisha's house on Thursday, and then the rest will come next week. So just give us some time, but they're like well on their way to us, and then we will have them to you as soon as possible. Okay. Let's see. Sew on the floor and use your knee on the pedal. What are you guys talking about? Melisha, Colin says we got to pump Melisha for info on the new project. She will never give it up. She can keep a secret. All right. So let's get to the topic now that it's 26 minutes past the hour. She says nope. Okay, everyone. Today's topic is sewing machines. So, and like I said at the beginning, it's not like this is not a comprehensive guide to sewing machines. I am just going to talk about the two machines that I have at home right now. And these are the two machines that I use for everything. So pretty much everything that you've seen in that I've sewn for Charm Patterns, for Patreon, has been on these two machines. Okay. So just to kind of give you a sense of what they can do. Um, they're very different from each other. The first one I'm going to show you is a Bernina 1008, and it's a mechanical machine. If you read my old blog, Gertie's new blog for better sewing, that's kind of how I got my start in this whole world, was as a blogger. And one of the things I wrote about very early on, I think it was pretty early on in my blog, was making the decision to buy like a quality sewing machine. And I went for this one. So I've written, what I'm getting at is I've written several posts about this machine on my old blog. I wrote about it when I was thinking about buying it. I wrote about when I bought it. I wrote about it 2 years later. And I think I've had it for like 10 years now. So this is a great machine. It's the one that I always come back to. Unfortunately, Bernina is discontinuing this machine, which I'm honestly angry about. I have some emotional reaction to that news because it's their one mechanical machine, meaning it's their one machine that they make that doesn't have a computer. And if you've ever shopped the Bernina site or shop for a Bernina machine, you know that they get really expensive and they're really focusing on all the bells and whistles that come with these computerized machines. And this machine, this 1008, has been their like workhorse machine that people use. Like you might have learned to sew on it in a costume shop at a university. Like these are just the machines that were being supplied to like university costume departments. People learn to sew on these, and they're just like really good workhorse machines. And so it's really sad that they're turning their back on this model, I think. But I don't make the decisions at Bernina, believe it or not. Okay, so this machine is all metal, which I really like. It's very, very heavy. Ugh. And it does not have a computer. And pretty much everything you do, you know, if you want the needle to be up or down, you have to use the hand wheel, right? So there's no like needle up, down, none of that. It's like very basic. It doesn't have a lot of stitches. Like this is it up here. I don't know if you can see, but honestly, I can remember only like a handful of instances when I've used anything other than the straight stitch, the zigzag, the blind hem, or the buttonhole stitch on this machine. So that's kind of it that you really need for garment sewing, in my opinion. Okay. It's nice to have like extra stitches. And the other machine I'm going to show you does have some fancy things that I've used, like in the appliques and all that sort of thing. So, you know, you'll get a good sort of like, you'll get two different machines that are very different from each other. So let's see, what else can I tell you about this machine? I've kept it mostly on this straight stitch. It has knobs to adjust the stitch width and stitch length. So if you want to change it to a zigzag, you just change the width of the straight stitch. It's like super simple. This is reverse. This is the stitch length. And then the buttonhole is like a 6-step buttonhole. So after every step, you have to like turn this dial. And it makes really nice buttonholes. It only makes one kind of buttonhole. And if I need to be making buttonholes on something where I need a little more control, like sometimes automatic buttonholes will like get caught on a certain type of fabric, and you're like in the middle of the buttonhole and it's like it messes up, and like you're like, but if I could just continue this buttonhole at the point I was at. Well, with this machine, you can. You're not like relying on the machine to make those decisions for you about which step you are at in the process, if that makes any sense. So I really like that. I feel like above all, this machine gives me a lot of control. I actually like having the hand wheel as opposed to needle up down sometimes, because when I take my foot off the pedal, I want my machine to stop sewing. I don't want it to finish the stitch because I told it to program either up or down. Like I want it to stop when the millisecond I take my foot off the pedal. Like that is important to me sometimes. So I really like that feature. I feel like it's a good machine to have for instances where you want that. Sometimes I want my other machine. That's kind of what I'm going to get at with this whole talk, is that I like having both of these machines, and maybe you need two machines too. But these are two very different kinds of machines, and they complement each other well. Okay, so what else can I tell you about this machine? Things I don't like about it. There is no extra clearance above the presser foot. So you know how some machines, so the presser foot's here, you know how some machines you can like lift the presser foot up a little bit more and get some extra clearance, like with a spring under the foot? This does not have that. Whatever, this is the highest the presser foot will go, and that's all you get. So I kind of wish I was able to just squish it up a little bit more to get something thick underneath there. The other thing that I don't like about this machine is that it doesn't have adjustable presser foot pressure. Listen to me, I've practiced saying that so many times now. I like to have the option of, if I'm sewing something thick, you can have the presser foot ease up on your fabric, so it's not kind of holding down so tightly on it, and it lets the fabric sort of clear underneath there. So that would have been handy for like the Peter Pan bolero if you're sewing in a very thick double knit and you don't want the presser foot to kind of drag on the fabric. You want it to be a little lighter in pressure on your fabric. So that's really handy for like thicker stretch fabrics. And then for thinner fabrics too, to be able to apply more pressure and have it. So it's basically, the pressure is like how closely is it holding it to the feed dogs and feeding that fabric through for you. So that's something that I wish I had on this machine. I just saw I have 7 sewing machines. Yeah, see? We're not even getting into vintage sewing machines today, and I like to play around in vintage sewing machines, which neither of these are. So, all right, and I do not finish my seams with this machine. I have a serger. I figured we would talk sergers another day, but I have a Baby Lock Imagine that if I'm going to be doing a serger seam finish, which is a lot of the time, that's what I use. Okay, so the other thing is presser feet for this machine. It's called the old style of presser foot, is what Bernina calls it. And it has this like little shank. The shank is attached to the foot rather than the foot kind of unclipping, right? So you have to buy this whole piece. They do have some adapters so that you can use the ones that just like clip on. What's the word I'm looking for? But for the most part, if like people love these feet, so this is actually a bonus to some people, but these feet are pretty expensive. So I would say that feet that I find really important would be, I probably wouldn't have said this until like last week, but I did use this blind hem foot on a project, and I used it on the brocade, everyone, and it was awesome. It doesn't show like any textured fabric. A blind hem is great for, and you'll want a blind hem foot to use with it. You can also use a blind hem foot in place of an edge stitch foot because they look pretty similar. They both have this, like, you guys can't see this. They both have a blade that goes down the center of the foot. So you can use a blind hem foot in place of an edge stitch foot. But the number 10 foot is the edge stitch. Everyone loves that. It helps you get a nice straight line of edge stitching or top stitching. I have a walking foot. I don't use it that often. It's such a pain to put on this machine. I also have a ruffler foot. So sometimes I go crazy on eBay and I buy generic presser feet for my Bernina. I know, shocking. But I got this one, the ruffler, and it works great. It looks like some sort of torture device, but it works really well. If you saw that patio dress I was wearing, I think it was last week, with the tiered skirt, I used this to sew it with. Love my ruffler foot. I also have, let's see, oh, this is my zipper foot. I love the zipper foot on this Bernina. It's a skinny one, and you move the needle to either side of the zipper foot rather than moving the foot to either side of the needle. Woo, okay. Woo. What else? I have a pin tuck foot I've never used. Oh, this is the adapter, which is nice. So you can, the foot comes off of the shank if you want to try to use more generic style presser feet. Okay. Oh, you love the My Little Pony cup? You guys know I'm a big My Little Pony fan. I'm a Pinkie Pie girl. So what else do I have? A straight stitch foot. These are ones I don't really use that much. Invisible zipper foot. That's great to have. A narrow hem foot too. I like to think of the narrow hemmer and the ruffler as like sisters, because if I'm going to be gathering tiers and tiers of fabric, it's a straight edge. This narrow hemmer works great on that huge hem that you create with tiers. So you can create like a really pretty dainty little hem on your patio dress. Number 2 foot. Anyone remember? I think this is the overcasting foot, which I used to use a lot before I got my serger. I have a gathering foot. Useless. I don't like this thing. Did any of you guys been able to master this silly foot? I don't like it. That's a generic one too. Luckily, I didn't pay Bernina money for that. Okay, so those are all my. That's my collection. It's my collection of presser feet. Oh yeah, and the walking foot for Bernina is like $200, guys. This thing was like $200. Luckily, I got it as a gift, but oh my gosh. Let's see. Colin says, do I have a go-to formula for figuring out ruffle lengths when using the ruffler foot? What I do is I will do a test. You knitters will relate to this because it's almost like a gauge where I'll take like 10 inches of fabric, do the settings on my ruffler foot that I want, ruffle it, and then see how much it condensed to after being ruffled. And then I can kind of figure out how much length I need to gather into each tier. And so usually I'll start with the first tier at the waist being, it depends on how much fabric I have, but anywhere from 2.5 times my waist to 3.5 times the waist measurement. And then it's nice if each tier can be 2.5 times the one above it, but that adds up really quickly. So once I figure out how much length I need, then I cut strips, I seam them together, and then I ruffle the whole thing. So the first one around the waist, cut it. So the second one around the waist, cut it, and then the third, cut it. So you'll have seams throughout, but you're never really going to be able to see them. So hopefully that was a good description of my process. But I did write about it in my book, Gertie Sews Jiffy Dresses. Lottie says, why would you use the invisible zipper foot if you have the zipper foot? Sorry if a dumb question. I'm a newbie here. That's okay, Lottie. We're all beginners at some point. So invisible zippers and regular zippers get sewn in different ways. You can use a regular foot to sew in an invisible zipper foot, but a specialty invisible zipper foot makes it a lot easier and neater, in my opinion. So if you look at the difference between an invisible zipper and a regular zipper, like actually look at the zippers, you'll see that they're totally different the way they're constructed. And an invisible zipper foot has something that like holds the coil down so that you can stitch in this little ditch behind the zipper and make it super invisible. And I love the Bernina invisible zipper foot because it really lets you get right into that ditch in the coil. And so you won't see any of the zipper tape, and you get right exactly where you need to be stitching the first time. So it's just a different process sewing like a lap zipper or an invisible zipper. Okay, good. Colin says that makes sense. Good. All right. Let's see. So, oh, Michelle likes her cording foot. Ooh, that's exciting. Okay. So I talked about the shirring ratio, about to order an invisible zipper foot. Yeah, I find them really handy. Like I said, you can use a regular zipper foot, and there are tutorials out there for using regular zipper foot. But I kind of feel like if there's a tool out there that really works well and is going to help you get quality sewing, like it's just part of your tool basket, your toolbox. What do we call it? So it can be really helpful to have, but you don't 100% need it. So there you go. All right. So let's see. Any questions about the Bernina before we move on to the Juki? Let's see. I don't see any. All right. Okay, everyone, I'm going to put this one down on the floor. And I'm going to grab, the Juki is over here. Ooh, this one's pretty heavy too. Okay. Am I able to service to some extent myself? I mean, you can do things like clean out the lint, and you know, my Bernina needs regular oiling, so there's that. But for the most part, I believe in having my machines serviced once a year, so I do try to stick to that schedule because a good technician can really get into the parts that we don't even think about. And if you're having any issues like tension issues or stuff like that, they can usually clear that stuff up for you. There's the timing and the bobbin weighting and all of that. So it's good to have them done regularly. Yeah, I was thinking about that. I'm kind of due to have all of my machines serviced, and I'm like a little sad that that's not going to happen right now, but that's okay. I mean, I think as long as there are some people who go like years and years and years without any maintenance. I just like to have everything. Like I'm very attached to my machines and it's like taking them to the dog. It's like taking my pets to the vet. I just like to know that they're doing well. All right. So this machine I'm showing you now is the Juki DX-4000QVP. It's Quilt Virtuoso Pro. So my little disclaimer here will be that Juki sent this machine to me and to use in videos and stuff like that. And they picked out the machine for me. I had an idea that there was another machine that I really wanted that I had seen at sewing shows that it has a lot of features that garment sewers really like. I can't remember what that model is called, but it's similar to this one, and you can buy it on Amazon, and people like rave about the buttonholes and like how great this machine is for garment sewers specifically. So I asked for that machine and they sent me this one and I was like, but I'm not a quilter. And they were like, it's okay. It's just going to give you more space. Like you have a wider heart, I believe they call it, like this section right here, which actually has come in really handy because I sew a lot of really big garments. And it's just overall, I really like this machine. It's kind of the opposite of things I've been saying about machines for a long time, which is that I prefer mechanical machines. But this machine has made me see that there's a lot of benefit to having a machine in your arsenal that has a lot of bells and whistles and does good things. Not just like having 500 stitches for the sake of having 500 stitches. I feel like this machine, you can program it to a lot of different things to make sewing a little faster and easier for you if you do a lot of sewing. So I would like a wider doohickey. Marin. Okay, so let me just talk a little bit about it. So these are all the stitches on this machine, totally different from the other one. It's a computerized machine. And the things I really like about it, well, one of the things I really like about it is this is the knee lift, everyone, which goes right here. I love having a knee lift, and this isn't like specific to a computerized machine. This is actually a really old-fashioned feature where this kind of goes like that, and you press your knee outward against it to lift the presser foot. So if you're like pivoting, or if you see a little like tuck in the fabric that you want to smooth out, you just like push your knee to the side. The thing about this one, I don't know why on this machine, it does not stay in the socket and it falls out at least once a day. Scares the bejesus out of Hattie. She hates it. It falls on the floor. It's like a regular occurrence in the studio. Melisha can back me up on this. I don't know why it doesn't stay in, but knee lifts are great. And if you're looking at a machine that has a knee lift, I would say go for it. If that's like a feature you're not sure if you want. You want it. Just trust me. I mean, I've only heard like one person ever say that when it doesn't fall. See, Melisha said it falls. One person say that she doesn't like a knee lift. Everyone else likes a knee lift. All right. So yeah. So it's great. Love the knee lift. So the really unusual thing about this machine, I think it's unusual. Let's get the My Little Pony cup out of the way. Is that this presser, no, this isn't a presser foot pedal has this like heel control. So you can either press on it with the ball of your foot or your heel, and you can program those two things to do different functions. So right now, I currently have the heel function set to backstitch. So I don't have to touch anything on my machine to backstitch. I just press down my heel, which is great. Something you do twice on every seam. So it's really nice to have that feature and not have to touch anything. It also can be programmed to do some other functions, one of which is the automatic thread cutter, which that's a feature we'll get to. You can program that with your foot and have it cut. You can have it do needle up, down. I can't remember what the other ones are, but there's some cool things you can do with that program. Yeah, so that's really cool. I like that a lot. It does take a little while to get used to. And when I first started using the machine, I would have it programmed to thread cutter, and then I would accidentally cut my thread in the middle of a seam pretty often because I was used to using my whole foot on the pedal. So that brings me to the thread cutter right here. Yeah, so this, as a computerized machine, is just going to have a lot more programmable functions that a mechanical machine would have. You have your thread cutter, so it automatically cuts your thread for you at the end of the seam. I like that too because you don't have you just get little tiny neat thread snips at the end of each seam rather than having those long threads, which I always forget to cut off. So I feel that my work tends to be a little neater at the end of the process, and I'm not finding threads, like hanging off my garment like I normally do. And then you can program needle up, down. You can do presser foot up, down. Why? I don't understand why any machine, well, I'm sure there are reasons. For me, I am never going to want to press a button to make the machine stitch. Never. That's never, ever, ever something I want to do with my machine. So I don't understand why that's so prominently next to other buttons that you could accidentally push too. Not a fan. But yeah, the thread trimmer and all of that are great to have. Other things that I like, the thing we talked about, that presser foot clearance with the Bernina that I don't have is, okay, so this is the presser foot down, this is the presser foot up, and then there's just a little extra clearance. I can just take it up a little bit more to slide something really thick underneath there, which I like. Like that feature a lot. This one also has the adjustable presser foot pressure up here. So it's a dial right here. I'll just kind of show you. On the top, can you see that? It's that gray dial right here, right here. So that will make the presser foot be holding down harder. I'm losing my words. It'll hold the fabric down much harder on a certain setting or not. So that's really handy, like I was saying earlier, for stretchy fabrics, for thicker fabrics, that kind of thing. So let's see, what else? The buttonhole. So the other thing I like about this machine is that you have more choices of buttonholes. There's one, two, there's a lot. There's 15 buttonholes, guys. And I like to have the option of having a keyhole because I think it's pretty. So that's nice to have those options. But this is an automatic buttonhole as opposed to the 6-step buttonhole on the Bernina. So you pretty much just put in that long buttonhole foot. Do I have it? It's in the case, which is in the other room. So sorry, I'm not going to show it to you guys, but you know what it looks like. It's that long buttonhole foot where you can put the button at the end and it measures how big the button is and it programs to make the same buttonhole over and over again, and it makes it all in one go. I feel like those are great for if you're sewing on fabric that isn't so finicky. It's like nice and thin. There are no seams or edges nearby where it's going to potentially get caught and not be able to move forward. But so when I'm able to sew, like if you're sewing like blouses in like cotton lawn, like, yeah, you'll have no problem using this buttonhole feature and it will look beautiful. But if it's something where I need a little more control, where I think that, you know, I might get stuck on like a bulky seam or something like that, then I use the Bernina or I do bound buttonholes. Okay, so let's see. Is there anything else that I can tell you about this? I don't think so. I mean, I kind of feel like I covered it, but you guys will tell me. Oh yeah, the sergers that automatically thread your bottom threads, those are your green machines. So I actually have 2 of those, guys, and I thought we would devote another session to sergers. But the one I have at home now is a Baby Lock Imagine, and it does have the jet air threading, and it's so easy to use. I love it. And my mom just got one too, and she loves it. So there's that. Okay. Say the name again. I have no idea what you're talking about. The name of the machine? The name of this machine is Juki DX-4000QVP Quilt Virtuoso Pro. So, yeah. You guys are talking about drunk fabric shopping? Okay. That's why I stopped drinking. Okay. So let's see. Any other questions? Did I miss anything? Yeah. Diane also has the Baby Lock Imagine and says it's the best ever. It's a great serger. I mean, I will say that all of these machines are a little in the pricey range. I think they're all over $1,000. So, so I know that doesn't help you if you're like looking to buy a budget model. But you could probably find Bernina's used on eBay. Or I guess what I was trying to get across today is that here's some of the features that I find really important in garment sewing. And you don't have to spend $1,000 on a machine to get those features, especially with the Bernina. Like this is like that metal machine is like the epitome of a vintage metal machine that is just going to do mechanical stuff for you. So, I mean, like I always say, I feel like, you know, you probably have one you probably have a family member who has a metal machine somewhere in storage, and you could get it serviced, you know, once our country is up and running again. And it would be a great machine for you. So I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to get across, is that the features that I use, you don't have to spend this much money to get. And if you see a machine that you're kind of thinking about that's less money, maybe you could just kind of look at the features and see, like based on what I talked about today, if it's going to have what you need for garment sewing. So, or if there's something that sounds really interesting to you, like having the thread cutter or having a knee lift, like, you know, you can be looking for those features. And I kind of feel like I went through a sort of similar experience this year. Was it this year? I guess it was last year, trying to buy a new laptop to do live streaming with. And I was so overwhelmed because there are so many laptops out there and they all have different features, and some of them have a ton of features, and I didn't know what I needed. And just through a lot of research, kind of finding out what what was my list of wants and needs for my new purchase, I think kind of made it easier for me. So if you don't make it about like the brand necessarily as much as a list of features that are really important to you or really important for garment sewing in general, then I think that that's a good way to approach it. Because a lot of people just come to me and say, like, what machine should I buy? And I'm like, well, I don't have, I have like these two that I can really strongly recommend, but a lot of beginners are not in the market to spend over $1,000 on a machine. So, but you, like I'm saying, you can find these features in more budget machines, and you can find used machines, and vintage machines are some of the most quality machines out there. So hopefully, Erica, I just buy laptops based on pretty colors. Well, I mean, I'm kind of guilty of that too. Our little high school intern is really into gaming. This is how I bought my laptop. She and she said that she used, okay, so the other weird thing about live streaming, like laptops for live streaming and laptops for gaming, is that they're kind of the same, like you need the same things. So I ended up buying a gaming laptop, but the ones that I was looking at were like, they would be called like the Predator, and they were like black and red, or they have like flames on them, or they're for these like guys who are really into gaming, and they have this like gamey, they have a gamey look to them. So I wasn't really into that because I really love my little Mac lap book that's like millennial pink, and like I just like that. So our intern told me, she said she got this Razer Blade laptop, and I was like, okay, all right, I'll look into it. And then she's like, well, it comes in pink, and I was like, okay, stop the presses, add to cart. And that's how I ended up with this laptop. But it was highly recommended by someone who knows this stuff, and I knew what I was looking for in it. And having that feature, the sort of aesthetic feature, pushed me over the top. And now I am a gamer. Now I am a hardcore gamer. Very gamey. Graphic and yeah. Yeah, it has to be cute, totally. Yeah. So let's see. Any questions? Yeah, Colin, that's a great point. Having another feature that's really helpful is this extra harp space. It will, a machine's listing on a product website will tell you how much space there is from here to the needle. All right. So I think this one is like 10 to 12 inches, whereas the Bernina is several inches less than that. So yeah, if you're sewing big garments a lot, then that's something really handy to have. It's often geared towards quilters because they're sewing these big pieces. But it's one of those things that's handy for garment sewers too. Though I learned a trick, guys, that someone recommended to me on YouTube about if you have to turn your fabric all the way around, like you're pivoting and you have a big circle skirt or a coat or something, you can turn it the other way and keep going. I recorded it. It worked. I could not believe it. You turn it 270 degrees the other way. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now, but it worked. And I took a video so I can show you guys. So I took it the wrong way, of course. I like oriented it vertical mode, but I'm going to put it up on Patreon because I could not believe that it worked, and it's applicable to Friday's project. So it'll be like a little separate video. Yeah. So Brittany, I did go over feet when I was talking about the Bernina, I would say that the ones I use the most are, you know, your zipper foot, your invisible zipper foot. Edge stitch is nice to have. The ruffler and the narrow hemmer and the blind hem are kind of like my top feet. All right. So, and now it's 6 o'clock. And I feel like I got my personality back a little bit today. So maybe having a topic helps. And now we can preen for a second before it's time to go. All right, guys. So this was really fun. I hope you liked the topic. Maybe tomorrow we can talk about sergers. I don't know if I'll have that much to say because I just have one to show you. But it can be, I don't know, these don't have to be like hour-long webinars. You know, I can just kind of talk a little bit about what I like about mine and how the jet air threading works and all of that. That's why you're here, Gertie. All right, everyone. You like the topic? Okay, good. Yeah, I mean, it's nice having a non-topic day too every now and then so we can catch up on, you know, Animal Crossing and Drag Race and all that. But, you know, topics are good. And yeah. And yeah, tomorrow, thank you, Erica, for the reminder. Tomorrow is no live stream on YouTube. It is a Patreon crowdcast live stream. We can call it a webinar. I like using that word. It makes me feel fancy. We can call it a webinar on Crowdcast. And it's going to be a little, I'm going to pull together some images for you because I can do a little like PowerPoint kind of presentation and share my screen. And I'm going to show you some kind of like behind the scenes glimpses into my process since I've been working on Patreon and the new YouTube show. Just show you some inspiration images and like in progress pictures and stuff like that. So I'm calling it like behind the scenes at Gertie's World because that's our Patreon/YouTube show. So when can you be a princess on Patreon again? So we'll open that up after the pre-order period has ended for Stanwyck and Hepburn. So probably around next week. I haven't really decided, just to be like full transparency here, I haven't really decided if we're going to keep those upper tiers open indefinitely between pattern launches, or if we're going to have like a targeted time every now and then where you can get in on them. But we're definitely going to keep opening them up. They just can't. Long answer to a very simple question. And look out for news on that next week. Let's say that. And one of the cool sides of Crowdcast is that it integrates with Patreon. So it is 3 o'clock Eastern rather than 5 o'clock Eastern. So a little bit earlier. So it'll be a little afternoon tea for two kind of vibe. I think I'll do it right here. This is my serious webinar location in my house. So yeah. So yeah, if you're in the Princess PDF, you will be getting, I'm hoping to send them out via the messaging feature on Patreon because when I send things by email, no one gets them for some reason. So we'll try that. Okay, everyone. I think that's everything. So thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, and if you're a patron and you can't make it at 3 p.m. tomorrow, you can always replay the Crowdcast later on. So do not sweat it if you cannot be there live. All right, everyone. So thank you so much for another amazing time with you via live stream. I will be on Patreon tomorrow, and then on Thursday, we'll be back here for the serger discussion. So thank you. Thank you, Erica. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.